Two Regular Guys podcast.
Hosted by
Terry Combs RG, regular guy,
and Aaron Montgomery.
The place to be for industry news.
The best dad jokes on earth, along with relevant topics to apparel decorators.
Prepare for the ride.
All right, welcome into the show. It is Friday, August 8th, 2025. I'm Terry Combs. You can find me at terrycombs.com.
And I'm Aaron Montgomery with our Success Group and American Print and Supply. And first and foremost, Terry, I want to just start off by thanking Eric for sitting in for me last week. I was away at the DAX Twin Cities show, and so I got to see a little bit of your guys' show last week. Thought it was fantastic. So looking forward to getting that all edited up this weekend, and I can watch the whole thing. But this week we've got a great lineup. I don't know if we were remiss last year. I kind of feel like we missed this last year, but maybe not. Maybe it's just time's slowing down a little bit for me. But this is one of our favorite shows that we do each year. The folks over at ASI do this really in-depth, wonderful state of the industry report. And in the past, we've had Theresa on, and this week we've got Theresa and C.J. joining us here to just give us the skinny, give us a scoop, right? What do we think some of this stuff means, and talk a little bit more deeply about what they discovered in their state of the industry report. So I always love this. It really gives us a chance to think more about the future, I think, in a lot of ways.
Absolutely. I wish my time was slowing down. You have to tell me your secret because it's August.
Well, yes, it's weird because sometimes it's slow. Sometimes I go, what? It's August. So maybe, I don't know. Maybe my time's just all over the place. It's not actually slowing down. So you probably don't want my secret, Terry.
Yeah, school started here a week and a half ago, which is crazy. I don't know why Arizona starts school in before August. It's just
that
crazy. The hottest time of the year. It was 117 yesterday. So
that's a warm.
Yeah. Anyway, stay tuned to the very end. I'm going to bring the secret sauce today, Aaron. It's presentation. What does your customer see? And It's probably not what you think. I'm not talking about presenting your product, because I could talk a whole show about that. But I'm talking about presenting you and your business. So make sure you stay tuned to the very end.
I love it. I can't wait. That's a topic I love talking about. Our perceived value. I think maybe might be something in line with that. So I've got my marker ready to go, my whiteboard here ready to take those notes. So I will. Yeah,
actually, something happened this week, and I'm like, I should do a secret sauce about that. That's very irritating to me.
There we go. That's the whole point, right? How do we learn? How do we grow? How do we get better? And those irritants are a good sign of going, okay, there's some meat there.
Right. All right.
Well, Terry, before we dive into the news here in a second, as I mentioned, I was away at the DAX Twin Cities show. And so this is the second full year of the new ownership group there at DAX. But I did get to see Scott. He came by the show, Scott Ritter. It was really great to see him. He was looking fantastic, and just had a really nice conversation with him. My family and I are actually looking to get back up to Minnesota to see my wife's family. And I told him when we're up there, we'd have to get together with him and Margie. So great to see him.
Did you have trouble keeping him away from the microphone? Because he likes to do the radio voice on the microphone.
Yes. We were like, Scott, put the mic down. No, Scott. No,
not your show anymore, man.
Yeah. No, it was great. He just went around. Everybody was great to see him and stuff like that. But anyhow, the reason I brought up the new ownership group is I feel like they're doing a good job, right? They made some changes this year. They added a show in Nashville. They moved the Minnesota show out of the Treasure Island and moved it back into downtown Minneapolis, Bloomington, not just about 5 minutes away from Mall of America, actually. And it was a hotel kind of setup, so it wasn't your typical convention center, but it wasn't like little hotel lobby kind of thing. It was a full-on room and
like a ballroom.
Yeah, ballroom kind of thing. So really nice setup. And people showed up. It was probably one of the busier starts to a DAX show that I've had in a long time. So I'm really grateful for Eric, because I would have really felt bad just having the other two guys in the booth while I'm sitting there talking to you guys going, oh, look at the hundreds of people walking by. Cool. So no, I think
we did
really good.
do. By the way, you said you're going to try to have it on in the booth, so Eric and I did the wave in case.
Okay.
Anybody...
So that would have been the other challenge that we would have had, me trying to do it from the booth, is the internet in there was a little bit slow. So I had it up and basically there was just a spinning wheel going. So yeah. Anyways, so yeah, good show. I thought they did a really good job. We just real quick, briefly, they're going to new venues coming next year that they're trying to grow it. So I feel like it's worth checking out. The Decorated Apparel Expo. I would definitely see what they're doing and be a part of that. Just, it's a great opportunity. It still has that kind of family feel to it, to where you build relationships. It's not about moving boxes. It's about building relationships. And so it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
So,
they don't have a schedule for next year up yet, right?
they kind of teased one, and we sat down with them real quick and we said, hey, love the schedule. Make sure you're looking at some of the other things happening here. So they were 1 week away from Printing United. they were basically like the weekend before Printing United started on one of the dates they had kind of lined out. And they're like, yeah, we could change that. So nothing official yet, but they're actually going to be adding 2 shows. I'm not sure if I'm giving away secret. I mean, they put it on a piece of paper that they handed out to all the exhibitors. So I'm going to roll with the fact that they're going to have a show in Dayton, Ohio.
They trusted us.
I know. Bad idea.
Ohio, okay.
Bad idea. So Dayton, Ohio, and a show in Florida, as well as the Nashville shows back and the other 3 shows that they
Florida,
have.
Huh? Interesting.
Yeah. It's escaping me exactly city. I think it was Tampa, if I remember correctly from seeing it. But
Tampa's a great convention town.
Yeah.
As you recall.
Yep. It's been a little while since we've been there. So anyhow, good stuff. Yep. Absolutely. So good shows. I'm excited. We've just briefly asked C.J. and Theresa before we got started. They just got done with a big show in Chicago and heard really good things about that. So we're excited to see people kind of getting back out there a little bit more. I was a little worried. We had some shows that maybe have kind of not figured it out again, kind of this post-pandemic. What do you do for a trade show? Unfortunately, some shows are struggling, but the people that have figured it out, like DAX and ASI, I think they're going to grow. So, good stuff. All right. Well, that's enough of me talking about stuff. Let's get some news happening here. Theresa signed up for double duty for us today, and not only going to be one of our guests today, but she's got some news items for us as well. And so whenever you're ready, Eric.
Oh, there I am. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Theresa Hegel with ASI, not a paralist, although I do love a paralist. But I have some news headlines for you guys today. First up is some big news for the apparel industry for decorators. Gildan has named SNS Activewear as the exclusive wholesale supplier for American Apparel. So basically, Gildan has said that SNS Activewear will be the supplier of the American Apparel brand in the U.S. and printables markets. Also in Canada, Gildan has named SNS Activewear the exclusive supplier for its whole portfolio of brands, Gildan, Comfort Colors, American Apparel, and Champion, and that's for the Canadian market. The companies say that the partnership will help improve brand visibility, streamline distribution, and enhance product availability and service. The deal goes into effect on December 28th of this year. Next up, we have a story about sustainability, because you guys know I always love to share something sustainability related. Nearly 1/3 of top promo firms release annual sustainability reports. We actually did an analysis that found that 31% of the top 40 suppliers and distributors, so that would be 80 total, 40 suppliers, 40 distributors, in the promo industry release annual sustainability reports. However, only 9 of those are currently disclosing their scope 1, 2, and 3 greenhouse gas emissions. So it's a small but kind of growing number, and we're still sort of figuring out how to do this the right way and what kind of data to include. However, experts say that the best sustainability reports include quantifiable data and align with global frameworks like the Global Reporting Initiative or the Sustainability Accounting Standards Board. And then finally, we have kind of some fun news. Sock Club breaks the world record for largest words spelled by socks. And I bet you guys didn't even know this was something that Guinness was tracking, but they were, and Austin, Texas-based Sock Club broke the Guinness World Record for the largest words spelled out of socks. They arranged 9,236 custom socks to form the words sock love, surpassing the previous record of 5,030 socks. And then, of course, the nice thing about this is it's not just these socks aren't going to go to waste. The socks that were used in the display will be donated to nonprofits supporting people experiencing homelessness as part of Sock Club's Give Back program, which matches donations for every pair of socks ordered. All right, that's my news. Back to you guys.
All right.
The whole apparelist thing is because Theresa switched places with Cassie last minute. So
Cool part is once I get that edited today, no one will even know. So it'll be.
Aaron, somebody broke our sock record and nobody told us. What the
I know.
heck?
I know. I feel like we need to reach out to Guinness and say, "Hey, what's going on here?" I didn't know there was a sock club, to be honest with you. I'm a fan of decorated socks, but
You are a huge fan.
yeah. So now I have to join the sock club. I appreciate that, Theresa, for sharing that information with us. Well, let's get to our content here. Let's get to our folks from ASI in just one moment. Let's do the dad joke. Let's get back on track. I know a good dad joke always gets us back on track. So, Terry, you ready?
All right, I have one.
All right, let's do it.
Hey, Aaron, did you hear about the guy who fell into the upholstery machine?
I didn't. No, I did not.
It's okay. He's fully recovered. All right, let me take it. There's Eric shaking his head there in the green room. All right. Hey, before we dive in, we want to thank everybody for checking out the Two Regular Guys podcast. We still need your voices. We would love to have the regulators participate in the show intros. Go to osg.link/intro, read a few sentences, be a part of every show. We are always looking for new guests, so if you or anyone you know would like to join us, go to calendly.com/2 regular guys. To book a future episode or email us at info@tworegularguys.com with your show ideas. If you are listening to the podcast version of the show, we would appreciate you sharing the Two Regular Guys podcast with all of your industry friends so they can become regulators too. We would appreciate you giving us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Podcast, YouTube Podcast, wherever you do your podcast listening, we are there. And if you're watching us live right now, please join in with your comments and your questions.
All right. Kim knows where that dad joke came from, by the way. Just FYI.
Yeah. She did forward that one to me.
All right. Thank you, Kim, for the dad joke.
She is now obsessed with the babies telling dad jokes. I don't know if you've seen that on.
Gosh. Yeah, I have.
It's hilarious.
It is pretty hilarious. All right. Well, we're going to, before we get down another rabbit hole and get it back off track again, let's get to the content here. We got a lot of things to cover in the State of the Industry report. Hello, David. Good to see you, sir. So, Terry, are you ready to bring Theresa and C.J. in?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's do it. There we go. We got C.J. and Theresa back again. Hello. Thank you guys so much for being here today. Appreciate you guys being with us. And as I said, we're really excited to talk a little bit about this. Theresa, I know our listeners are familiar with you from the news and being on with us, but actually, I want to start with you, and then we're going to get to CJ. Just kind of give us the little 101 of you. I know most people have already heard it, but just in case they were hiding under a rock, tell us a little bit about you, and then we'll ask the same of CJ.
Sure. I'm Theresa Hegel. I'm the executive editor for sustainability and special projects. No, special projects and sustainability at ASI. I've been there for, I guess, 11 years. My background is in daily newspapers. Before that, that was my other life, but I've been at ASI for over a decade, and I write about sustainability, apparel, and whatever else they tell me to do.
Cool. I love it. Love it. All right. Well, CJ, welcome into the Two Regular Guys. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. Give us a little bit about yourself, your journey to ASI, that type of thing.
Hey guys, happy to be here, and I feel right at home because as the father of two twin girls, I'm told that all of my jokes are dad jokes.
Yes.
So
Perfect.
I feel like I belong.
All right, good. You definitely do. In fact, we would like you to submit one, and we'll share it. So, okay.
I'd be happy to.
Okay.
So like Theresa, reformed newspaper journalist, and who just stumbled into the promo industry just purely by accident. Was working nights and weekends, never seeing my then girlfriend, now wife, and was just applying for jobs in the Philadelphia area, and found this company called ASI. And I remember when I interviewed and I was looking through the magazines, I was like, I'm not sure. Like, I guess I can write about this promo stuff, but like embroidery, screen printing, like what am I doing here?
What is it?
But as I found out, really love the industry. I've told people this. I love the intersection of like product trends, business strategies, and and just like all these different things that intersect, which makes the industry so cool. So I've been with ASI for 17 years, and I'm the editor-in-chief, so I oversee our editorial content, and I get to write and edit the wonderful work of Theresa and my other colleagues.
Oh, love it. Love it. Cool. 17 years. So it's just getting started.
Of course.
No, I love it. That is super cool. All right, Terry. Well, let's get into this.
Yeah, thinking back, I'm wondering what journalism school is like today. But since I graduated in journalism school, Ohio University, in 1978, it's probably probably no more electric typewriters at your desk, I'm guessing.
Probably not.
Well, we get our interns every year, and they're learning way more stuff than we ever learned. They're doing like data journalism and AI, just like very, very complicated stuff that I'm very impressed by.
Yeah. Yet somehow they can't read a lead. Somehow they teach all this new stuff, but they don't teach the basics.
Sometimes the fundamentals are lost, but they are learning a lot of very cool new stuff.
But did they still use reporter notebooks? Remember those?
No, I think they use Otter AI. I don't think they even use paper anymore.
Yeah. It's a sad world. But hey, this article is out, but we got a little inside baseball ahead of time, so our questions are gonna kind of reflect that. But let's start with what was the biggest theme that came from this year's Counselor State of the Industry report, CJ?
Yeah, so we survey hundreds of distributors and suppliers to just get a sense of what's going on in the industry, and we have a lot of different metrics. And the theme this year is really one of resilience. As everyone knows, the promo industry, decoration industry, industries of all types have been struggling. They've had a difficult first half. We have data that shows that the promo industry was down 3.6% in Q1 and 3.2% in Q2. And there's no secret why. It's a combination of tariffs, economic uncertainty, budget stuff. And it's been a tough road for a lot of industry companies. The great part is that just in sort of measuring what's been going on, we can tell how optimistic though companies are about the second half and how they manage those difficulties in the first half. And one way we measure it, we have something called the Counselor Confidence Index, and that's just a way to measure just sort of the general vibe in the promo industry. So 100 is the baseline. And in Q1, at the end of Q1, we projected that at the end of the year, the Counselor Confidence Index would be 78. So that's below the baseline, not a good number. After Q2, that end of year projection increased to 88. So that was a 10-point increase. And that shows that even among the difficulties, distributors, suppliers, decorators, they're finding ways to succeed and they have optimism about how the second half of the year is going. And that theme of resilience has been a constant since I've been in the industry. You can look at 2008 Great Recession, the pandemic, all these difficult times, companies found a way, and they're finding a way right now.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Theresa, from that same information, are there some practical ways that they're finding a way? I'm just throwing a random question at you here.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like the distributors are always very kind of resourceful, and they come up with creative ways to do things. I'm trying to think if there's anything specific that I can think of, but I think it's just, they're focusing in on like retail brands, sustainability, different trends like that, things that people, the end users are looking for. I mean, if you look at kind of the top markets from the last year, they're basically the same as they've always been, with like education, healthcare, different things like that. They didn't really change. And the same thing with like the top categories of products: t-shirts, drinkware, and polos are the top three, which is basically the same. But I guess, like you have to come up with creative ways of putting together the same products to the same, markets.
Yeah.
Which is sort of the same thing we have to do, because we're writing about the same things, but we have to do it in a different way every year
Creative
too.
way. Yeah.
But I think it's just basically that old-fashioned like relationship building and being creative and kind of like helping provide the customer service and being there for clients. It's sort of like the old school stuff that's still working.
What a great answer. CJ, do you have something to add there?
Yeah, and I would just add that companies have been great about turning a challenge into an opportunity.
Ooh.
So with tariffs, right? Like when buyers saw that happening, they pulled back their budgets immediately, because there's just so much uncertainty about price and how much more they're going to pay, and they didn't put it in orders early in the year. But distributors were very smart, and many of them went to their buyers and said, hey, like you should order now, because what's going to happen is there's not going to be inventory later in the year. As we learned, suppliers and overseas companies were just holding product in China until the tariffs came down, right? And so distributors went to their clients and said, if you order now, you can get it at like a normal price, because there's a delay, right? Even when the tariffs are applied, the price increases don't happen right away. The price increases are happening now, but they weren't happening in March and April. And by presenting that sort of urgency to clients, many distributors got clients to put in those orders. So that's just one example of something where it seems like a major challenge, but distributors were savvy and managed to get their buyers to move when they might have not otherwise.
Yeah. And that's a testament of the trust that their clients have in them because of the relationships they built, right?
Yeah. No, I think that
uncertainty in January, and by April, we can do this. We can make this happen.
Totally.
Yeah. Well, thank you for both of you kind of taking that kind of random question, Theresa. That's what I love about our industry as a whole, right? Promo, print, the whole world is we are resourceful. We okay, we're faced with a challenge, like CJ said, turning challenges into opportunities. And I think that's the sign of a strong company that's going to be able to last through, like you said, Great Recession, things we're going through now, stuff like that. Is there anything else? Obviously that we've talked about tariffs already quite a bit. So obviously this is definitely a theme, and obviously not one that we've heard in previous years. Is there anything else around the tariffs that you guys saw from this State of the Industry report?
Yeah, definitely. So typically our State of the Industry, right? We survey companies in January and February about the previous year. And in most years, the data we get on the previous year, like it just carries forward the next year, because there's not a major event that completely changes the landscape.
Yeah.
So this year we had to do something different, where we decided to not only survey companies about 2024, but we did monthly updates to just get like a real-time look at how companies were being impacted. The other time we did that was in 2020. So like, while as terrible as 2020 was, it gave us good practice for this year. And
Yeah.
the things we found out were that one, concerns about tariffs like shifted wildly like month to month. So, for example, around 90% of distributors and suppliers were concerned about tariffs, but in the first quarter, 51% of those companies were very concerned. At the end of Q2, only 25% were very concerned. So what we're finding is that while people aren't happy about tariffs, they've come to grips with them. They know they're going to happen. Maybe the levels will shift a little bit. So it went from like utter panic in April to in now July and August. People are like, okay, well, we're not fans, but we'll manage to work around it. And that ties into the idea of resilience. Other things we noticed were that there was obviously price increases. So from our data, we know now that 65% of suppliers have increased their prices, and 71% of distributors have also increased their prices. And most price increases are in the 1 to 10% range. The total number of companies increases in their prices went up month to month. So that's something we saw. And we also know one last bit of information that 77% of distributors have reported inventory shortages. So that's directly impacted by tariffs. Suppliers held their products in China when the tariffs were super high. Once the levels dropped after the U.S. government reached an agreement, all these suppliers brought their products in, but there's like a 1 to 2 month gap that's going to create inventory shortages, and we're seeing that right now.
Interesting. Wow. Cool. Theresa, anything else to add there on the tariffs?
I think that C.J. covered it very well, so I'm going to let him have
I
it.
do too, but I didn't want to cut you off and be like, hey, she's got something great she wants to add to this conversation. All right. Well, what else, Terry?
Well, for the past 2 years, the study has measured the scope of negative attitudes about promotional products. What's the data show this year? Theresa, let's start with you.
Yeah, so I actually did the article about negative attitudes this year. As far as like the numbers go, 31% of distributors are concerned that clients are developing negative attitudes toward promo products, which is actually up from 23% last year. And the thing is, actually, a lot of the people I talked with, they didn't necessarily agree that it was like their clients specifically having negative attitudes to a promo. It's more kind of like the general vibe. So like you might see on LinkedIn people saying how much they hate conference swag and it's wasteful and they don't like it. Or you'll see sometimes, in the general kind of, media, people talking about, promo being wasteful and kind of having that negative brand bill reputation. But it wasn't necessarily carrying over to the clients they had. However, the people that I talked to did have a lot of good advice for how to combat those stereotypes. And a lot of it is basically, the best practices in the industry of kind of being creative, choosing thoughtful, high quality products, maybe like retail brands, instead of giving one of kind of like a crappy thing out or low price, low quality. I don't mean to say crappy necessarily, but you know what I mean. Instead of giving out one of everything that's like a very cheap thing that may not be remembered or kept, use the same spend, but have fewer higher quality items that are more thoughtful, and then maybe give them out to the people that actually want them, or maybe have it kind of qualified, like people have to ask for the promo. So that way you're not forcing your clients to spend more, but you're kind of getting them to think about promo in a different way and, turn it into something that is a thoughtful thing. It is something that people want and they're going to kind of cherish and keep. And of course, sustainability is big as well. So if you can show that the verified kind of transparent supply chain, if they're using recycled materials, if these things are done with ethical labor, all that kind of good stuff. If you can sort of tell that story in a verified, data first sort of way, that's also going to allay people's concerns about that negative perception of promo.
Yeah, I was at the. I've been to events at trade shows where, as you walk in the door, they hand you a T-shirt. Everybody gets the T-shirt. Not everybody wants a T-shirt, but I was just at the DTF Expo here early in the year, and the announcement came over: if you would like a DTF Expo shirt, come by the registration desk and we'd be happy to give you one. So, they
Something as
they
simple
weren't
as
stuffed in
that
the trash can.
can make a big difference. Or, sometimes you'll see people do kind of like the pre-show swag where you kind of pick what you want, or maybe at the show you get to decide like what design you want and what color and what size, and then it gets sent to you afterwards. So you're actually have a hand in kind of making that merch, and then you get the size you want and what you actually want, and then you get a little surprise a few weeks later. You know what I mean? Like there's different ways to think about it. It doesn't have to just be like tossing things out to every single person.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I remember back SGIA days. That's how long ago this was. It was called SGIA back then. They had their SGIA shirt, but you didn't just get it. You paid $5 for it, $10 for it, whatever it was. But that money then went to a local charity, right? So there's a bigger picture. There was some creativity to that, right? Taking the leftovers and donating it to a shelter, or because at a t-shirt printing show, there's a lot of shirts floating around, right? And so that can become that brand fill that you guys have talked about, or it can be something that it will do some good in the world. So
exactly. CJ, do you have any comments about the negative attitudes?
Yeah, like we know that this is a growing phenomenon, and that it's been some media outlets have reported on this, but we also know like fundamentally the promotional products industry, that whole fundamental notion of giveaways, it works, right? It's a $26 billion industry. And the reality is that almost everybody will accept like a nice gift, right? Like it's very rare that somebody will refuse something that's like very nice and they think has high value. So it's just all in the gift, in the packaging, the item, right? The promo industry, though very successful, dug its own grave a little bit by gravitating over decades, by the way, to just the cheapest, most commoditized items, and just throwing them out there without any sort of intention. And so that's where this stems from. But as Theresa talked about, and we've written about this a lot, there's growing retail brands in our industry. There's more attention paid to sustainability, and there's more attention paid to creativity, packaging, all those elements. So if you take the time to insert those added value elements to it, right, and make it seem nicer and thoughtful, people are always going to accept that, and that's the way to combat these sentiments.
Yeah, love it. Wow. Real quick, we've got some comments happening that I think are really worthwhile. Like David Haynes from curltrainer.com said, with price increases, what has worked for us is the truth. Prices will always go up. If you don't like the price, just wait until next year. All prices will always go up. So I'd bite the bullet and do it now. It says meow, but maybe he did say meow. But
that's a Super Troopers joke, I think.
I think so. I think you're right.
That's great advice, by the way, because we've been telling our readers transparency is super important. Just be honest with your customers. They know prices are going up. It's not a big secret. So as long as you're proactive about communicating that, that's the best way to address it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Joanne had kind of followed that up with perhaps of everything you just said, all right, as you guys were talking about that cost of doing business. All right. So I think that all fits in line there. Awesome. Okay. Well, you guys, tons of stuff that we're breaking down. We've also got some other questions we're going to put in front of you guys here as well, as far as some of the things happening in the comments here. But let's take a quick break. We want to, our sponsor of the show, Promo Hunt, works out perfectly. Promo Hunt, get synergy here. We just want to share their message real quick, and then we'll be right back with more ASI information here.
If you sell decorated apparel, then you're constantly on supplier websites like Sanmar, Alpha Broder, and SNS Activewear, comparing prices and checking inventory. Stop wasting time comparing prices the hard way. Just install PromoHunt's free browser extension. Then, when you're on a supplier website, PromoHunt will automatically compare your prices with all your suppliers and will let you know if you can save. With PromoHunt, you'll always be just one click away from seeing all your prices and inventory in one screen. PromoHunt shows other helpful information too, like similar product ideas, supplier phone numbers, preferred pricing, and coupons on thousands of supplier websites. PromoHunt saves you time and money, helping you quickly find and buy great products at competitive prices. The best part is that PromoHunt is completely free. Join 7,000 decorators and distributors that use PromoHunt every day to save time and money. Visit promohunt.com and sign up in less than 60 seconds.
All right, guys, well, check that out. And again, go to promohunt.com and then go /apparel and just let them know the two regular guys sent you over there. It is a fantastic tool. I actually use it quite regularly, and I'm not in the space every day. So for you, those of you guys that are in the decorating space every day, you're going to love it.
And it's free.
And it's free. That's right. All right. Well, Terry, we've got a couple of questions from some of the regulators tuned in here. You want to let's start with the one from Joanne.
Let's go with Joanne Benko. I'm a big fan of consumables like experiences or food. Would be interesting to hear creative ways to customize that with swag.
So I'm sure you guys have written an article on something like that. Any thoughts off the top of your head there?
Well, I mean, food gifts have been huge, I think, especially since the pandemic. And I think there's a lot of creative ways to kind of pair like cheeses and meats, or like a cake with, like a custom charcuterie board, like a, actual like cutting board or something like that. So I think there's tons of things, and there's tons of bundles that I think already exist in, that promo suppliers are already doing. So I think if you just went on like ESP or whatever, tool you use for product sourcing, you would find a ton of really good ideas for, pairing the food with, maybe the pizza cutter or the knife or the cutting board, or whatever it might be, or like a little kit to do like a s'mores kit that comes with like the little candle that you can use like on your back deck, stuff like that. So I think there's already like a ton of stuff that they've already come up with. And another thing that we noticed recently, which is, I think it's kind of interesting, is pairing gift cards for kinds of like experiences and things like that, and having that sort of on a theme that comes with some promo items as well. So you can make a whole kit that has like maybe the gift card for, watching a movie on Hulu or whatnot, but then it comes with like a blanket and popcorn or things like that. So I think there's a lot of ways you can be creative and still get that experiential or the food item, but also have the logoed, personalized custom item that will be the keepsake afterwards.
I love it. That's a great idea. CJ, anything else that shows up for you?
Yeah, I would add that. Now I'm gonna sound like the grandpa shaking my cane on the porch, but the younger generation, the kids these days, they want experiences. They're less stuff centric, right? They're minimalists, but they love experiences, travel, going out to eat, stuff like that. So for the promo industry and the decorated apparel industry, like that's a little bit of a crisis of conscience. Like how do we operate when like we provide stuff to people? But as Theresa mentioned, that pairing makes a lot of sense. You can provide the experience, you can offer a gift card, you can give something that's sort of that's a consumable, or that's something that they do, but then give them an item that's a takeaway from that experience, because people love souvenirs. They love items that provide memories of that experience. So there's definitely a place for a decorated item in this experiential realm.
Awesome.
Why do those darn kids have to have their experiences on my lawn? David Haynes said, with the promo industry having distributors, have you noticed the fast growth of print-on-demand distributors for the apparel industry?
But Theresa and I are laughing because print on demand has been like the buzzword of the year, and we've talked about it a lot. And Theresa, I'll let you take it. But
well, I mean, I would say just stay tuned to the fall issue of Counselor, because I wrote a print on demand feature story that is going to be in there. So let me think. I did just finish writing it a couple days ago, so hopefully there's something left in my brain about it. But yeah, I mean, print on demand has definitely become a bit of a buzzword in promo, and I think it's growing. I'm trying to remember what the stats were, but I think they're about like more than half of distributors are offering some kind of print on demand service to clients, and it is going beyond apparel. I mean, there's also other types of items. More and more like items are available for print on demand. I guess some of the other main points are that print on demand doesn't always just mean like one piece orders. It's basically printing whatever you need when you need it. Other like highlights of it are that you do not, you're not tying up your inventory, right? So there's like a sustainability element where you're only kind of printing the things that you need, so you're not creating a lot of waste necessarily.
Yep.
And if you're, kind of using like a network of decorators, then it's going to be sent out from maybe the closest decorator. So then there's less of a transportation cost. But yeah, print on demand is definitely something we've been hearing more and more about. Even so much as earlier this year, Stalls had a whole print on demand conference and brought like a whole bunch of leaders together in that space. So it's not going away. It's definitely something I remember writing about this right after the pandemic. I think back in 2021, it was huge because e-commerce was booming. So everybody was doing print on demand. And, I wondered at that time, like, well, is this going to go away now that everyone's kind of back, in the office or back doing like their regular things? But, it really hasn't gone away. Print on demand is just, with the right technology backing it up, it's a much more streamlined way to do things. So I think that it's going to continue to grow, especially as people are able to find the technology solutions and kind of the productivity gains that they need to make it work and make it actually profitable.
I think that was one of the good things that came out of COVID, along with several other things that changed in the industry. So, David, great question. If we had an award for best question of the day, you'd get it. But hey, we don't. But we appreciate
well, you can have an award, you just don't get anything.
Yeah, kind of like Eric's pay for being the producer. It's exactly a reward, but it doesn't include anything. He's like, what reward? I missed that part. All right. Well, the other thing that kind of stands out a little bit and maybe buzzword, lots more talk about it lately, is this kind of idea of shifting to made in the US. Did you guys see anything related to that in this State of the Industry report? So maybe CJ, I can start with you on this.
Yeah, definitely. So we actually ask every year about made in USA requests in our State of the Industry surveys. This year, though, it's a huge topic. So we just asked a question recently because we wanted some more like real time data. And so 35% of distributors have seen an increase in client requests for made in the USA, and 47% of suppliers have also seen an increase. So, combine that with like the vast majority maybe seen the same level, like it's either been increased or the same. And so there is definite increased interest in made in USA. One of the reasons behind the tariffs, according to the Trump administration, is to boost the American manufacturing, right, and to either create new jobs or bring jobs back that went overseas. Talking to suppliers, made in USA suppliers, they had gangbusters first half of the year. They had record-setting Q1s and Q2s. So all that tracks. I think the big question is just like how far is this going to go? Because we've seen spikes in domestic items, like during the pandemic, there was a spike as well. And what happens is that kind of ebbs and flows. It surges for a few months or a year, then it goes back down to its level. It remains to be seen like how long this is going to last. Like if the tariffs remain in place for all 4 years, which is sort of the expectation, that will continue. There's other sort of driving factors as well. Next year is the 250th anniversary of America. I won't say like the equivalent of bicentennial because I can't pronounce it.
Same.
There's other stuff as well that like the World Cup is coming to America, right? There's going to be the Olympics in three years. So these are all major opportunities to grow American manufacturing. We have heard a couple suppliers like World Emblem and Bam Bam's come top of mind who have started to reshore jobs and open new factories. So I think this momentum will continue. I don't think it will continue to the level of that, like almost everything in the promo industry will be made in America. I think we're going to be very reliant still on overseas manufacturing. But the conditions are ripe for made in USA to have a continued increase or improvement from where it once was.
Awesome. Theresa, anything else that stands out for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the key things to think about with made in the USA, with like reshoring jobs and bringing the manufacturing back, is that these kind of factories, it took decades to kind of put everything overseas. You're not going to bring them back overnight. And there's a lot of evidence that a lot of people in the U.S. don't want those kinds of jobs. They're not going to pay enough, or if they, if you pay the U.S. rate, then the items themselves are going to be too prohibitively expensive.
Yeah.
So there are some, I think CJ mentioned that there are some companies that are kind of reshoring a little bit. But a lot of what you're seeing is more attention to things like automation, robotics, and AI to be able to make this more affordable, so that you're making goods that people will still pay for, but not kind of getting super tied up in the labor cost. So, I mean, it's a really nuanced subject. And I think the made in the USA goods is definitely something worthwhile to focus on. But you have to kind of think about the whole picture, and, why promo wouldn't just all be able to come back right at once. It's just not feasible. And most of the manufacturing, it's not feasible for most industries to be able to do that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I just want to add on, the automation component that Theresa mentioned is crucial, right? Domestic manufacturing is possible with automation, but automation is not cheap. It requires investment, it requires technology. So the opportunities are there, but it's going to require companies investing to make that a reality.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, so AI is something that we hear about every day now. So in the state of the industry survey, you asked companies about their AI usage. What did they have to say? Theresa, let me start with you.
Yeah. So obviously AI is another one of those big buzzwords. And it's something that's talked about a lot in the promo industry, but actually right now only a quarter of promotional products distributors, compared to 2/3 of suppliers, are using AI. Some of the main things that they're using it for is to write copy, followed by creating images, writing proposals, and offering customer service. One of the things I did a little story just kind of looking at where we are and where we're going with AI. For the most part in the industry, people are kind of using it for more of a personal productivity standpoint. So yes, writing the copy for them, or helping them put together a LinkedIn post or something like that. The challenge for the industry is to figure out how to take those productivity gains and put them into more of a corporate workflow, without compromising things like data security. So one of the things that's a little bit scary about AI is that people are kind of willy-nilly throwing things into ChatGPT, like company financials or, customers data and information, but that's not, ChatGPT especially is not really a secure location. So you're really kind of putting yourself and your customers at risk by just throwing that stuff in there. So one thing that a lot of suppliers and distributors are looking at is kind of creating their own sort of AI instances within their company that has the data security that they need. But of course that takes time and investment. And then future forward looking, we'll be looking at more what they call agentic AI, which is sort of AI talking to other AIs and kind of assigning tasks and breaking things down. So I mean, there's a lot to it. I use AI a lot, but I also have mixed feelings about it. And I think sometimes it's gotten very overused, and I can't stand going on to LinkedIn and Facebook and just seeing a bunch of AI slop. And I can tell. I mean, I know the other thing that drives me nuts is that the M dash is now being co-opted by AI. So people are like, oh, if you use an M dash, that means it was written by AI. I love an M dash. I've always used it, so I feel very by that personally. But I think the other thing to think about is, as more and more people are using AI just for writing copy and for photos, and just kind of the whole internet is being taken over by AI, I do think that there could be a bit of a backlash or a whiplash sort of effect, where people want those real experiences, face-to-face, tangible goods. And that could actually be a good thing for the promo industry as a whole, because if we want things we can hold on to, that's what we're good at. So I think there's a lot of opportunity to streamline operations and take advantage of this new technology, but we really have to do it cautiously. Think about data, think about the image that you're presenting. You don't want to sound like your AI, of course. And then think about if there's opportunities for, doing the tangible experiential things that people are missing when they go online now.
Yeah, exactly. CJ, do you have anything to add on AI?
Oh, so much. But I'll say this: we were talking about the ASI Chicago show, so I was there a couple weeks ago. We have a session called breakfast brainstorming, and everybody sits at just randomly at tables, and you just discuss amongst yourselves, like just topics, share ideas. One of the like areas of topics of discussion was AI, and among like 8 people at the table, only me and one other gentleman use AI for their business or just in their personal lives.
Whoa.
And so, I was sharing ideas and exchanging ideas, but it just shows like that there's still a lot of room for adoption in this industry. And one of the key points that I'm telling people, and Theresa mentioned this, is that the human connection is still important, especially like your connection with your client. Your clients wants to know that they're doing business with people they know, like, and trust.
Yep.
So there's plenty of opportunity to tap into AI, and you can get tremendous gains from it. But I think the key thing is to have it work in the background, right? It can help you behind the scenes, but in any sort of client-facing interaction, you want to present yourself and not have AI be the face of your company.
Yeah, and don't forget to double check things, because you remember that there was an episode of The Office back in the day where he had the GPS and it told him to turn, but it was turning right into the lake. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
they all laughed at that, but I mean, sometimes I think people are letting AI turn them like into a lake.
Yeah.
You have to actually check what it's telling you, and just because it gives you a suggestion, you don't have to use it. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
we still have our own like brains and analytical abilities. I think we need to like focus on those as well. Like, you can use the AI, get ideas from it, but it's not the end all be all. Like, don't like just turn your car and like drive right into the lake. That's not a good thing. Also, one other thing I just want to mention as a sustainability person, you do have to be a little bit careful with AI because it has it uses a lot of energy, I think, especially with like images and video. So if you're concerned about energy use and sustainability, you might want to be a little bit circumspect in how often and how much you're using AI.
Yeah.
Good point.
Interesting. Yeah, good points. Man, I took like CJ, your statement about only 2 people in that room, that blew me away. And then, Theresa, what you were talking about, I kind of feel like Theresa, it was AI before AI. Then, if you're the M- user, I think that's she's that smart.
Maybe AI was trained on me.
Could be.
But that's the case, then you should use it more. But.
Yeah, that's right.
Or Theresa is an Android, and we just don't know it. So.
Oh,
that could be too.
Now we're learning stuff.
I'm cyborg.
Well, Evelyn says, and speaking of what both you guys said there, though, Evelyn said, people buy from people, and so as Theresa was talking, right, you see all the slop, all the copy and paste, right, and so make yourself stand out, right. Use the AI for inspiration, but you got to bring yourself to the table, right? So I love that. Cool. All right. Well, you guys, this has been great. We could talk for hours and hours and hours, and we definitely need to get you guys back. But tell our listeners where they can go to get more information, reach out to you guys. Obviously, become members of ASI. It was going to unlock a secret world that is incredible. But give us a little bit more about where they can find you guys.
So if you're interested in becoming a member of ASI, our main corporate website is asicentral.com. To read our State of the Industry report, you can obviously it's in our summer issue of Counselor, the print issue, but we also have a online URL that's members.asicentral.com/SOI. And if anybody wants to connect with me, just find me on LinkedIn. Look for my name. That's the easiest way.
Cool.
Yeah. I'm on LinkedIn under my name. I'm on Instagram somewhere under my name. I'm on TikTok, although I don't use that much anymore. But yeah, I'm all over the place. So
awesome.
Just connect with me.
Cool. Love it. Yeah. Make sure you guys connect with them and check out ASI. And thank you guys so much for all of the incredible information, and appreciate you guys spending some time with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks, guys. Super.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Terry.
I love this show every year. There's so much good information.
Yeah. Really good. And I just love that we get to unpack it too, right? I love hearing their like, okay, great. We got the data, but what does this data telling us?
Yeah. What's the underlying? Yeah.
Yeah. And their insights were huge. So love that. I know we missed one question in there. I'm not exactly sure how we would have fit it in. So I just didn't want Joanne to think that we were ignoring her. The question was regarding the home decorator world, right? Like, what'd you say? I'm more into the home enthusiast space, but seems less interest in some of these folks desiring to move up to the stitch for profit. You're kind of staying more on the hobby side of things. So, really, really good, interesting conversation to be having. I don't know, Terry, maybe that's better suited for the Take Up. I hear there's a really good
Yeah,
program every Friday afternoon.
absolutely. EricCampbell.com and the Take Up tab. Yeah, Eric addresses things like that all the time.
Awesome. All right. So, Joanne, I promise we weren't ignoring you. Thank you so much, everybody, for jumping in with your questions and comments and thoughts. Maybe maybe we need to sign Eric up for a session here. Maybe he could be our guest one of these days. So, all right, Terry.
And Eric, you still have to push all the buttons. So.
Yeah. Sorry. Well, he won't even let me push them now because I just mess them up. So, i.e. the news earlier. So, okay. So let's talk about where you're heading here, Terry. What's happening for you?
Yeah, around the corner, my next complete screen printing business course, I will be at Atlas Screen Supply in Chicago, September 6th and 7th. And 2 months later, I'm going to be there November 1st and 2nd as well. If you can't be there in September,
Cool.
Fingers crossed, no early snow. Because that's happened.
Yes.
And you can find all my upcoming events at terrycombs.com. How about you, Aaron?
Few things that I'm working on details, so I don't have them on the list yet, so I will hold off until next week to share. But Printing United is coming up fast and furious. You mentioned it was August, and October will be upon us before we know it. And really excited about everything happening out there. October 22nd through the 24th in Orlando, Florida. And so if you want to go over to printingunited.com and then printingunited.com/attend, and then you can hit the register button. If you want to use the code 141404, that will get you free registration for the upcoming Printing United show. I think it's a show that you need to be at. If you've never been to a Printing United, or if you have before, you obviously know why you want to be there. And going to be a great show. Terry, you're going to be there, right?
I will definitely be there, and you and I'm sure we'll be doing a live show from there as well.
We indeed will. We indeed will. All right. And then as far as Eric has got coming up, we already mentioned the Take Up, but if you want to know the details about the Take Up, today is episode number 231, talking about brand management. Strict stitching for hospitals. Ooh, interesting. In the episode, Eric's going to lead you through how he manages the strict embroidery requirements of a hospital group, both as an in-house digitizer dealing with art requirements, custom fonts and approvals, as well as an e-commerce manager presenting restricted products for direct consumer purchase. So some really good stuff he's going to unpack in there. So if you want to join Eric over there at 2:30 Mountain Time or 4:30 Eastern Time or 3:30 Central Time or wherever you're at, Terry, I don't know.
Eric has the inside scoop, his wife being a brand new doctor.
There we go. So really good stuff. I can't wait to hear what Eric's got going on over the Take Up tab. So as Terry mentioned earlier, head over to ericcampbell.com and click on the Take Up tab at the top, and you can find out more of the information about that and watch the 230 plus previous episodes as well. So Terry, I am excited for your secret sauce. I have stayed tuned to the very end. I've got my pen ready to go. You ready?
All right.
Let's do it.
I'm ready. Let's do it. All right. Today's secret sauce is presentation. What does your customer see? And I certainly have a lot to say about presentation of your products, your packaging, and how you present your products in a professional manner. But today's secret sauce is actually about presentation of you and your physical shop. This sauce was inspired this week by an online presentation that I saw live from a decorator's shop. Now, maybe I'm a clean shop geek because I'm always checking out the background, whether it's a video, a magazine article, or just some post on X. I'm always checking out people's shop areas. And I couldn't get past one thing that this online presentation had this week. It was just frankly piles of crap The counter space in the background wasn't just cluttered, it had piles of garments, not neat stacks, but piles of assorted garments. Add to that, there was a desktop printer on the counter, also heaped with discarded garments and paper. But you might ask, if the quality is still good, what does it matter? In my multi-decade experience, a sloppy or messy shop translates to poor quality work as well. It goes hand in hand. The environment you offer your employees to work in, the environment you choose to work in yourself, will impact the quality of the work. And if you're doing an online live presentation without even picking up all the stuff in the line of sight of the camera, that says so much to me. And for one, it's that you feel fine with the fact your shop looks like a bomb went off. And another related story, I walked into a 2-week consulting job once, and the production area was cluttered, messy, just dirty. And they hired a consultant, they hired me. So clearly they knew they were having issues, but they didn't realize a little spring cleaning would have helped before I showed up. I truly believe it starts with how you and your employees treat the workplace. One of the activities at that particular shop, for sport, for humor, was the production crew would put a hand in the ink and press it on the white wall like cavemen. One long wall on the production floor was covered in multicolor handprints, floor to ceiling. It wasn't art. It was a total lack of respect for their workspace and their employer. And management allowed it to happen. And it was all a big joke with them until I said, come to work tomorrow, ready to paint. And second day of consulting was everybody painted over all those handprints on the wall. So every production floor I've ever been hired to run starts on day one with cleanup and organization. It starts with a broom and a mop. It starts with soapy water and elbow grease. It starts with taking pride in your work and taking pride in your workspace. So look around your shop. Would you be embarrassed if your best customer walked in right now? Quality work starts with a quality work environment. It really does make a difference in your finished product. Trust me, you'll see a difference in attitudes and output. So that's my secret sauce for today.
All right. Terry, what a great secret sauce. I love it. Where's my brush? Let's paint a wall. Let's do it. All right, Terry. Well, we have come to the close of another show. We want to thank Theresa and C.J. for making time to be here with us today. Make sure that you guys go and check out asicentral.com, and you can find that State of the Industry report at members.asicentral.com/SOI. And as I mentioned earlier, there's a ton of value behind the curtain there at ASI, so I think it's worth checking out their membership program. Could be a valuable investment for your business. And again, tell them the two regular guys sent you, and I'm sure they'll say, who? No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure they will go, yeah, okay, we're going to take extra good care of you, even though they're going to take good care of you no matter what. All right.
Well, we also want to thank our show producer, Eric Campbell, for everything he does, keeping us on track and on the air. And a special thanks for not muting my mic after that dad joke today, Eric.
Very, very much so. Special thanks to Eric for sure. Joanne says, tasty sauce, Terry. I agree. And Evelyn's going to be passing it along. So yeah, you guys make sure, if you haven't, also, if you go to our website, tworegularguys.com, you check out any of the show notes. We do break out the secret sauce. We do break out the new stuff, and those are their own separate playlists on our YouTube channel. And if you want to get to that playlist, just click on the secret sauce where it says secret sauce in the show notes there. That will actually take you to the playlist. I know you guys talked about it last week. Could be a great way to train your employees right there.
Exactly right.
Don't know where to start. How about with the secret sauce? So good stuff. Terry, next week we've got Nick, and I'm not even going to try his last name right now until I talk to him a little bit more, but he's going to talk to us about profitability in the print industry. Nick, somebody actually got to meet him in person not too terribly long ago. Super smart guy, and looking forward to learn about profitability. That's a word we all want to have more of, right?
I was just going to say the same thing. We want more of that. So until then, I'm Terry Combs. He's Aaron Montgomery.
And that was the Two Regular Guys.
Here we go. We're out.
Awesome.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Two Regular Guys. We're here because of listeners like you, and we're so grateful to have you on this journey with us. For more valuable insight, be sure to visit our website, 2regularguys.com, and join the conversation on our Facebook page. And hey, if you or someone you know has expertise, a unique perspective, or a story worth sharing, we'd love to have them as a guest on the show. Just reach out. Remember, success in this industry isn't just about the equipment you own or the techniques you've mastered. It's about the mindset you bring and the connections you build. Keep learning, stay curious, and don't be afraid to think differently. Keep pressing on, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Two Regular Guys.